Passionate, determined and ambitious are just a few words that describe Luxolo September. But there is more to a man than what meets the eye. And those words mentioned just scratch the surface of what kind of man that Luxolo truly is. We sat down with him to find out how does he define himself as a man.
It's always better when people describe you, because you define yourself based on your purpose. Because people, when they say, tell us about yourself, they're expecting you to tell them about character, what you like and stuff like that and so forth. And I often think that for me, I'm defined by things that are definitely outside that, by a purpose, by dreams and stuff like that. But I'm just a guy who was born in a very rural village, the former Transkei, who has been privileged in his life to live part of his dreams, and not just his dreams, but to live other people's dreams through his own journey, and who in that particular journey has been able to travel the world, work at different organizations, be inspired so that he can inspire not necessarily people, but an environment, and driven by a purpose to change Africa. At a later stage in my life, when I went to school in tertiary now, and I remember starting to work for Jonic Communication at that time, the Daily Dispatch, and wanting to do new stuff, but loving sport. The other day, Velile sat me down. We were going to Borarabe. This is probably 2002 or 2003, I can't remember exactly. And he said to me, if you actually focus on football and sport, I think you'll be very good at this thing. If you just focus on it, because I was quite good at a lot of things. I was good as a linguistic and many other things, and I was already at first year employed by a company. So he said, but if you tell them you want this, and the rest is history, as they say. I've always been fascinated by history. By how do people do things. So I was fascinated by stories of people who come from exactly where I come from, Sturu Pasias and other people. How come they've achieved so much in football as far as I was concerned then? And I remember in 2004, guys, I'm going to work internationally. I had no idea where, I had no idea when, because I started to see that this football thing has created so many beautiful stories, success stories on the field. But we have been so poor in telling these stories, in understanding the story. At that time, I was a storyteller. I didn't know that I would be the subject at some stage. If I got $10 every time someone asked me, how did you join FIFA? I'll be very rich today, I think. At an earlier age, I worked for the Daily Dispatch and a few other organizations, including Kickoff, Touchline. And it happened that there was a guy called Richard Maguire, who was a Touchline at the time. And Richard, for some time, had wanted me to go and join Touchline. And I wasn't really interested, for whatever reasons. I was a little bit of a cocky kid. And Richard had met me once in person. So it happened that I left Daily Dispatch to go and work at SBC. And I had a falling out with some people, because I've always been a person who can't keep quiet when there is injustice. And I've always had this belief in myself that I don't need to beg anything. Richard one day had coffee with someone from FIFA. And they were talking to him about, we would love to have a person from Africa or South America, or whatever it is, because FIFA doesn't hire people because you're South African. And Richard apparently mentioned my name. I always think and look back, I want to ask him one day, so many people, you had met me once in your life. And here's one opportunity at a global event. And you think about my name. That's what we call unmerited and undeserved favor. So what happened is that Richard Maguire had obviously told FIFA about me. And FIFA, the other day I was flying to Johannesburg to do some stuff at SABC Sport, and I land. 5 minutes after I land, my phone rings. So I pick up this phone and they say, a European number. And I didn't even know, I'd never received a phone call from outside the country before. So these guys say, we're so-and-so from FIFA. I'm like, I thought it's a prank. So they say, can you send us your CV? I said, listen, guys, I don't have a CV. They all laugh. Why don't you have a CV? I said, listen, I've just been too good in my life. I didn't need a CV. So it became a bit of a joke. But after writing a CV the same day to them, a week later, they came back to me to say, do you want to come to Europe for a chat? So I flew to Europe to meet them. And I became the first African person to work for the corporate affairs division at FIFA at that time. FIFA was like a university for me. But the first 8 months was like absolute, I want to say hell, but I was used to winning awards where I was, because when I was a football reporter, I was just winning all the awards, and I was 21, 22. Now you move at the age of 23 to work at an international board, and you're nobody. You're used to being somebody. There, you're not even a number. They're not even used to an African person there. And you've got to start at the bottom all over again. You're starting all over again. And it was the most difficult period for me, whereby in my mind, every day, you constantly have to remind yourself that you are worth this thing. And I knew that I'm there to learn. The exposure I got there gave me so much hunger, and it refined my purpose, not for FIFA, but for African football. That is my passion: football, politics, innovation, leadership, and personal development. I'll tell you how Lulwazi was born. When I was doing matric, I was obviously at a Lani school. During winter holidays, I went to the Transkei. And when I got there, the school down the road had a winter school. And I got there and I decided, why not? My great-grandmother said, why not? So I went there. First 20 minutes, I realized these kids, no matter how brilliant they are, they have no chance in life. My level of education, and we are all doing grade 12, vis-a-vis theirs, I was so ahead, not because I'm clever, but because of, I'll make a simple example. Most of the classes were being taught in isiXhosa, and these kids are going to be examined in English. So first day, I went home, same day, and I said to my great-grandmother, they have no chance in life. She asked me one question and she died 2 years later. I said, what are you doing about it? So from that day onwards, I said, this can't be right. That when I'm in East London, my education system is so superior. These kids can't even read. They had matric. Now imagine if you're passing matric and you can't go to university for some reasons, and you've got to find a job. If you can't even express yourself, there's no confidence. At Ulwazi, we believe with knowledge, you can prepare for opportunities. So I work here up until May. At May, I either go to AFCON, I go to the World Cup, I go to the Confed Cup, I go to a FIFA tournament, I go to a COSAFA event. For the last 8 years, 9 years, there's no balance. And I come here, I work for the league, go home, I'm a farmer, I have a farm back home, I have a few other things that I'm busy with. I have this NPO, I have CAF, I have FIFA. I'm too young to think about balance. I'm too energetic to think about balance. I'm pregnant with so many things, man. I got my place in East London. The purpose of it was actually for me to go and rest. I think a year I go there a total of 5 days. Yeah. A whole year. There is no better time than the now. Right now, I'm going through so many frustrations, so many exciting things, so many disappointing things. But I am, every day, I wake up with this purpose, with this excitement of we will get there. I haven't even scratched the surface of my potential. There's a guy who made an interesting analogy to me the other day. And he says it's like driving in the Autobahn and you're doing 200, 300. When you get to 300 k's an hour, you've gone beyond your own imagination now. And then you're so impressed with yourself and somebody just whirls past you. So the minute you become so impressed with yourself, somebody passes you. I think one of the things that I don't necessarily like doing is to say, look guys, this is what I've done. Because I get upset with sometimes what I've done because I always think I can do more. I mean, somebody would say working at FIFA is a highlight, working and knowing Blatter, meeting all the greatest players in the world. I've had the privilege of meeting everybody in the world that is in football. Working at CAF at my age, being the only South African who's below the age of 40 who's worked at CAF, FIFA, COSAFA, and in domestic football. People would be like, be impressed. But I'm thinking, what's more? But I don't necessarily have one moment. Maybe, one would say the call when FIFA hired me, that was just the beginning. Going to work at CAF and all the other tournaments, I've worked at all the World Cups, 4 World Cups since. Is that the highlight? Privilege, don't get me wrong. Honor, don't get me wrong. Highlight, give me a bit of time.